Um, hi everyone. Hope you are safe, doing good, and vaccinated. So today I'll run you through this very important, very crucial topic, which is external commercial borrowings. Nowadays, we all are, in the needs of fund, and external commercial borrowings is a kind of a borrowing which can cater our funding needs. But along with having a good lender, the very important part is doing the compliances on time. Basically, the RBI compliances, because RBI is very much stringent in terms of compliances, in terms of compounding, and in terms of penalties. So it is really important to take care of all the compliances related to the external commercial borrowing. So today I'll run you through this particular topic. And my name is Shilpi Kulshreshtha. I'm a company secretary and lawyer having 10 years of experience. And I'm happy to present this small presentation with lots of practical guide, practical approach, how to deal with this topic. So first, let's start with this very important, very crucial, question. What is ECB? What is external commercial borrowing? As we can identify out of its name itself, its name only suggests the meaning. External commercial borrowings means any borrowing, any commercial borrowings which has been taken from outside India to cater the commercial requirements. So this is a very simple, very layman kind of understanding, or we can say definition of this external commercial borrowing. Now let's understand in terms of RBI or in terms of financial aspect what is exactly a external commercial borrowings. So borrowings in any freely convertible foreign currency or maybe into the INR is a external commercial borrowing. The only condition is it has to be taken by the eligible resident entities from the eligible non-resident entities. Means the borrower should be a eligible resident entity, and the lender should be the eligible non-resident entity. This is the very important aspect in this particular concept of external commercial borrowings. Another is important, which makes it quite different from other loans, is a kind of other important terms such as minimum maturity, permitted end uses, non-permitted uses, maximum all-in cost ceilings, agreements. So these all are the another important topic, another important concept, I would say, in this particular topic. So how we can identify is something external commercial borrowing, or what we can consider into the external commercial borrowing. So it could be your bank loans, your trade credits, or your FCCVs, FCEVs, and financial leases. So let's understand bank loans. So bank loans means any floating fixed rate notes, bonds, debentures, means any other debenture or note which is other than fully convertible instrument is could be your external commercial borrowing from the outside entity, from the non-resident entity to the Indian entity. And then there is trade credit. Any trade credit, trade credit means the buyer's credit or the supplier's credit beyond 3 years. So any credit which is beyond 3 years is your ECB, and all the rules and regulations related to the external commercial borrowings issued by the RBI will applicable to this particular concept as well. And another is foreign currency convertible bond, foreign currency exchangeable bonds, and financial leases. These are other kind of instruments where the ECB concept apply as it is. So these are some of the type of or kind of external commercial borrowings which is included in the external commercial borrowings. And the circular specifically issued by RBI, Reserve Bank of India, will applicable to all these kind of concept, all these kind of instrument when you are taking these from out of India, when somebody eligible non-resident lender is giving to it eligible resident Indian. So it would be the ECB. So I hope the concept of ECB, the meaning of ECB is quite clear to you. Now let's move forward to a very important topic, which is the keyword. So before deep diving into the concept of ECB, it is important to understand the meaning of certain words, meaning of few words, because these are few words which we are going to use again and again in this particular concept. So let's understand eligible borrowers. So all the entities eligible to receive the FDI are eligible to receive the ECBs, are eligible to take the ECBs, external commercial borrowings. Apart from that, Port Trust, Unit in SEZ, SIDB, Exim Bank, these are certain kind of certain name of the entities apart from the corporate entities, apart from the entities who are already eligible to get the FDI, to get the foreign direct investment. Next important term is recognized lender. So recognized lenders, first important condition to being a recognized lender is that country should be the member of either financial action task force or the international organization of securities and security commission. So these two are the, I would say, the institutions, not exactly the institution. I'm not just getting the right word. These would are the such kind of arrangements where where countries are members, and your recognized lender should be the part of these particular two step arrangements. This is the first important definition. Second, the multilateral or regional financial institution where India is a member country would also be considered as a recognized lender. Third one is individual as a lender can also be permitted if they are foreign equity holder. So here means the holding company of a wholly owned subsidiary in India can also be a recognized lender. And another is foreign branches, subsidiaries of Indian banks are permitted as a recognized lender only for ECBs except the FCCBs and FCEBs. So your foreign bank, I mean your foreign branches and subsidiaries of Indian bank can also provide the ECBs, but not for all kind of ECBs. They are not permitted to issue the FCCBs or FCEBs. So if we talk about foreign branches or subsidiaries of Indian banks, so suppose Canara Bank is the Indian bank, and if Canara Bank is having a branch in USA, so that branch is eligible to lend uh, ECBs, and that branch is eligible to be a recognized lender for the purpose of external commercial borrowings. So recognized lender should be, so if you are going to take an ECB, if you are approaching any party to get fund as an external commercial borrowings, it's really important to check whether that particular entity, whether that particular party is fulfilling any of these conditions of a recognized lender. Because if party is not fulfilling these any of these particular condition, it would be difficult for them to be a recognized lender, right? So now let's move to another important definition. Loan agreement is really important, and here I would like to have your kind attention, and I would like to give my more emphasis, because each and everything between lender and the borrower will certainly be depend upon the agreement. So agreement should be written in a very well language, should be drafted very well, should have all the conditions incorporated in advance. And why it is important? Because generally these terms are long, these agreements are for long term, maybe 10 years, 12 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So minimum more than 3 years or 5 years. So it's always important to write a very good agreement, so that it, even if in future the person who were actually negotiating the deal, who were actually the part of this particular process, if they are not there into the system, agreement should be capable enough to answer all the queries in the future, to answer all the disputes in the future. So let's understand what all are the important clauses to be kept in mind while drafting this particular agreement. So date and parties. So here defining a party is really important. So their registration number, their complete address, their registered address, and the person who is actually acting on behalf of that particular entity, on behalf of both the entities, really important to mention there. Because generally ECBs are a long-term affair in a big companies, so it's important to have a clear identification details. Second, loan amount, currency and tenure. So it is very important to mention currency, don't forget to mention the currency, don't forget to mention the loan amount, and obviously a tenure, 10 years, 12 years, whatever is the tenure, it's very important. Interest rate, what would be the interest rate, what would be the penal interest and taxes. So let's understand what exactly a penal interest. So for example, I have to make a payment half yearly, let's say 30th June and 31st December for interest payment. And if in case I got delayed for some days, maybe I was liable to make the payment by 30th June, but I actually made the payment on 7th July. So for all these 7 day, what would be the penalty? So this penalty should be clearly mentioned in the agreement in advance, because this is really important when you are actually remitting fund from India. RBI is going to ask each and every important things from you, and the evidences for these particular decision, whatever amount you are sending back, whatever amount you are remitting back to that particular country as an interest, as a penalty, or as a principal amount. It's really important to mention in the agreement, so that as and when RBI is coming to you and asking, hey, why are you sending this particular amount, you should have this particular agreement in place, so that you can tell them, sir, I have already submitted this agreement to you and this is the clause. I hope this is clear to you. Drawdown schedule and repayment schedule. So what is drawdown schedule? Drawdown schedule means the installments in which I am going to get the payment. So let's say I have taken a 100 USD of loan. Amount of the loan is 100 USD. So whether I'm going to get that 100 USD in a one tranche, or there would be 4 equal tranche or 5 equal tranche, how it is going to take place, that is a drawdown schedule. So first I have received 25 USD I have received on, let's say, 14th June, then 20 another 25 I have received, let's say, on 30th June, and let's say 50 USD I have received on 40th July. So this schedule is the drawdown schedule. And what is repayment schedule? So after 10 years, so let's start, my repayment would start after 10 years. So after 10 years, what would be the repayment? So let's say first repayment I'm going to do on 40th June 2031, and second 30th June 2031, and third is 14th July 2031. So this is your repayment schedule. Repayment schedule means when I'm going to back that particular amount, when I'm going to remit that particular amount as a principal, is the repayment schedule, and when I'm going to get that particular amount in my account is the drawdown schedule. And why I am focusing on this particular topic so much, because there is a very important concept of loan registration number. So first, whenever we are going to get ECB, it is important to file an application to the RBI. That I'll tell you in a later slide how to file those that application. But what is important, drawdown, we cannot take even a single money in our account without getting that particular application processed and get that particular loan registration number in hand. So make sure your drawdown, first date of drawdown is coming when all the process is completed. So let's say you have decided this particular 14th June 2021 to get your drawdown. So it is important to keep in mind, while I will take this much time to entering the agreement, then I'll take this much time to prepare the application, then I'll take this much time to send that particular application to the RBI through authorized dealer bank, and then almost 50-20 days we need to give to RBI to process that particular application. So make sure, if you are deciding today to get the ECB done, to take the ECB, to file all the application, make sure your drawdown is falling at least after a month or 1.5 months. It is really important, because if in case there is a delay in getting your LRN number allotment, and your drawdown is coming early, you need to change the agreement, because you cannot get the drawdown early, and in that case you need to execute another agreement, and as and when there would be any change in the agreement, you need to report that particular to the RBI. So I'll let you know in my later slide how it is going to impact whole process and documentation and the flow of the funds. Another important point is dispute resolution, how we are going to dispute resolution, what would be the jurisdiction, and what would be the applicable law. Why these conditions are important? Because we are doing cross border transaction. Cross border transaction means from one country to another country. While we are in India, it's easy to either go to Bombay or Chennai or maybe in Delhi to for the purpose of hearing. But if two countries are involved, what would be the governing law, whether it would be the Indian law, would be the another countries of law where your resident is actually lender is actually residing, what would be your dispute resolution mechanism. So this has to be decided internationally, keeping in mind the international laws. It is really important to decide the right jurisdiction, the right dispute resolution method, and the right applicability of the laws, and as well as language of your proceedings. Because if in case language have not been decided, and suppose your lender is Spain, so that lender may opt for the Spanish language, and if your agreement is not enough to answer such kind of dispute, this would be another kind of dispute in future, right? So I hope all the important clauses in the agreements are clear to you, and you are going to keep these particular clauses at least in mind while drafting a good loan agreement. Now let's move forward. Another is, I've already discussed about it, LRN, loan registration number. This is a unique registration number which RBI allot for each and every application for the ECB, which has been processed by the RBI, which has been accepted by the RBI. And what is important, as and when you are going to do any correspondence with the RBI with regard to that particular ECB external commercial borrowing, it's important to mention this particular unique loan registration number issued by the RBI on all the correspondence, right? So LRN would be, so let me tell you how it will work. So LRN would be a kind of a Aadhaar card, Aadhaar number for you. So for me, Aadhaar number is the unique number. So LRN would be the Aadhaar number for ECB for that particular external commercial borrowings, right? So one important thing I just want to mention here is, suppose a company is having 3 ECBs, so all 3 ECBs would have 3 different LRNs. LRN is ECB centric, not the company centric. It's not the case if company is a single company, LRN would be a single LRN. No. If company is having 5 ECBs, there would be 5 LRNs. If company is having 1 ECB, there would be 1 LRN, right? Let's move forward to another definition, all-in cost. As the name suggests, whatever expenses you are doing, whatever all the costs you are incurring to get the ECB is your all-in cost. So what exactly is your all-in cost? All-in cost is your interest rate, fees, charges, guarantee fees, etc. As if your lender is asking for the guarantee, so if you are paying any guarantee fees, so that would be your all-in cost. And any other kind of expense which you are actually doing to take the ECB is your all-in cost. But all-in cost does not include your commitment fees, your prepayment fees, and your withholding taxes. These all are not your all-in cost. And why it is important to understand all-in cost? Because when you are going to fill the application, you need to mention about the all-in cost, right? Next is permitted use. Although I have mentioned this definition, permitted use, here I would be discussing the negative list against which you can't utilize your ECB. So let's again understand why we are talking about permitted use or non-permitted use here. So as the name itself suggests, external commercial borrowing means any borrowing which has been taken from a non-resident entity for the commercial purpose only is the external commercial borrowing. But government has already excluded some of the areas where you can't use your ECB. Means for that particular expense, for that particular commercial need, you just can't take loan, right? So that is the purpose. So few activities of few areas where you cannot utilize is the real estate activities, investment in capital market, equity investment, and working capital, If you are, suppose you need a working capital and you are going to take the ECB for working capital, that is not permitted, although there is a condition. If you are getting that ECB from a foreign equity holder, it is permitted, otherwise it is not permitted. For general corporate purpose, again, if you are getting it from your equity holder, it is permitted, otherwise it is not permitted. Or repayment of rupee loan, except in case of ECB repayment of rupee loans availed domestically or capital expenditure, right? So they are so ABC are the straight away negative list. Part of straight away negative list means straight away no no. C, D, D, E, and F have certain condition, means few will fall under the negative list, and few entities still can avail that particular avail ECB for that particular negative list or that particular uh, areas or activities. ECB can be availed by few companies, certain companies following certain conditions, right? Next is average maturity period. So average maturity period is really important concept in the ECB. And what exactly is the average maturity period? Average maturity period means the length of maturity of your loan. And why it is important to identify average maturity period, so that you can plan accordingly your repayment or your prepayment. So the minimum average maturity period which RBI has defined is 3 years. So you can't do your call and put option if the average maturity period is not yet completed. And how to calculate this average maturity period? It's very simple concept. It's a weighted average method, which would obviously include your proposed drawdown and proposed repayment dates, and accordingly you can calculate this particular average maturity period. So let's say your drawdown is 100% on 1st April 2015, and let's say your repayment, you're doing repayment in 4 tranches, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So accordingly, weighted through the weighted average method, this particular period can be defined as can be derived as a average maturity period for that particular transaction. So accordingly you can decide your repayment and your drawdown, not mostly drawdown, generally the repayment. And certain other conditions are associated with the average maturity period. So it is really important. And let me tell you, we don't apply for ECB directly to the RBI. There is always an authorized dealer bank where you can go, you can talk to them, you can submit all your documents to them, and on behalf of you they are going to submit all the application to bank. So the bank, the trade finance department of that particular bank always helps you to you know uh, drive or calculate this particular average maturity period. Otherwise, this particular sheet is also available as an illustration on the website of RBI. So suppose if you are not very good in terms of maths, or you are not able to calculate, or you are still doubting yourself whether you have calculated correctly or not, you can always take support from your bank, who is your authorized dealer, who is actually going to process the ECB application on your behalf. So just now we have covered two topics, very important, what exactly are ECB, and another one is keywords. Now we are well versed with some of the important keywords and what is ECB. Now let's understand, you are a company secretary in a company, or maybe the part of a legal department, lawyer or chartered accountant, and your board of directors one fine day suddenly came to you and asked you, hey, listen, we are going to take ECB from this lender. So how you are going to behave, how you are going to process. So in my next slide, I'm going to talk about that process and documentation. So in the process and documentation, first is very important. You need to ask what is the requirement to get the ECB, for what purpose we are going to use the ECB, and why we are using the why we are asking the purpose, because we need to check whether we are eligible to use the ECB for that particular purpose or not, considering the and permitted and use and non-permitted and use. So it is very important first to get whether your entity is eligible to use the ECB. Otherwise, what will happen? You are done with all the compliance. I mean, all the formalities you are done, or you have done all the preparation, and when you will go to your authorized dealer bank, he will say, "Boss, you can't take ECB for this particular purpose." So it would be a complete wastage of time. So don't try to go to that particular stage. Being a professional, being a good professional, it is your duty to focus on the purpose, to identify whether we are falling into or not, and if we are falling, then only it's good to proceed further. If we are not falling, it's good to stop there only. So suppose you got the purpose, now you identified like you are falling with the permitted use. So what would be the second step? Second step is to identify the lender, country and currency, right? So why we are talking about your lender? Just recall the recognized lender. We just talked about the recognized lender. So recognized lender, so your lender should be the recognized lender. Your country should be the country from which you can actually take the ECB. It should not be the non-permitted country. And third one, the currency. The currency in which you are taking ECB should be the freely convertible currency. So it is important to consider all three these points, right? Because if any one of point you are not complying with, again you need to stop here only, right? Next it AD banker. So now you need to identify who is going to be your AD banker. It could be any bank, any authorized dealer bank, which and if we talk about authorized dealer bank, you can get the list of authorized dealer bank on the RBI website. Otherwise, generally SDFC, ICICI, SBI, Canara Bank, HSBC Bank, these are, I mean, the popular banks are already into the authorized dealer bank. There are very few banks who are actually not the authorized dealer bank, but it is always good to identify who is your authorized dealer bank and whether that particular bank, the bank you are choosing, is authorized by the RBI to process that particular application, right? And once your bank is identified, you can talk to their persons, talk to their staff, your relationship manager, to know further, to identify how they are processing it, whether they are processing it or not, and what all are the requirements. Next is board resolution. Once you are done with your homework of homework related to the purpose, lender, currency, authorized dealer bank, and each and everything is finalized now, and now you are 100% sure, yes, we are going to take this particular ECB. So fourth step is passing the board resolution. This board resolution would be passed under this Companies Act only, for the purpose of taking the loan, considering into the mind that particular condition which has been given in under the Companies Act. And once your board resolution passed, you need to enter into an agreement. So here again, I would like to remind you the important clause. Please keep those clauses into your mind while drafting that particular agreement. Once agreement is done, I mean, drafting still in process, what you can do, you can take all the company's constitution document and KYC document. So here I am talking about companies, means the lender's constitution document and KYC document, because you would need those documents while processing this particular application, and for your internal use as well, internal confirmation as well, like you are going with the right party in the right direction. Then next step is the filing of Form 83. Very, very important concept in this particular topic, external commercial borrowing. So ECB is a very, I mean, Form 83 is the very important first part to proceed to the RBI. So Form 18 is the application which needs to be filed within 7 days from the date of signing of agreement. And here in the inverted comma, I would like to mention again, within 7 days, not the working 7 days. Within 7 days means the clear 7 days. So make sure, if you are signing your agreement on Friday, Saturday, Sunday is holiday, and now you are left with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, only 4 days. And in these 4 days, you need to file application first your authorized dealer. Then your authorized dealer is going to take 1 or 2 days to check the application and to come to you back if in case there is the deficiency, and then send it to the RBI. So always make sure your date of signing of agreement has been decided in such a manner so that you can cater this 7 days of compliance, 7 days of need well in place. Next is, once your Form 83 filed, RBI is fine with all the terms, all the conditions, all the uh, currencies, lenders, and everything. So once this is finalized, I mean fine from the RBI side, they are going to send you the LRN. They are going to allot you the LRN, loan registration number, which we just talked about. So this generally takes sometime 15 to 20 days. Nowadays it's a corona era, now it's a COVID era, so I mean it could be even a higher time. So please keep this into the mind before, as I already told you, while drafting this particular agreement, these stages are really important to keep in mind, and dates, draw the dates considering all the situation, whether external or internal. So loan registration number, RBI will allot you the loan registration number, and once you have the loan registration number, you can start your drawdown as per the agreement. So here it is very important to keep in mind, as and when there is a change, there is even a single small change in an agreement, you need to file 83 every time. You need to follow this 7 days of concept every time. So as and when there is a change in the agreement, you are responsible, you are bound to file that particular change to the RBI well in advance, well in time, within the given time limit, through the authorized dealer bank. Once drawdown is there, you need to track proper utilization of funds, so that you can check whether fund are actually company is actually using the fund in a right for the right purpose, for the permitted end users only. It's not the case where funds has been asked for the modernization of existing plant, and now the company is using the fund for working capital requirements. No, this should not be the case. So there should be a separate bank account where you can park that particular fund, and you can use that particular fund for the purpose of the permitted use only, for the purpose which you have actually written in your form 83 in your application. Then another important compliance is ECB2. ECB2 is a monthly return which you need to file again within 7 days. Within 7 days, not the working days. Within 7 days from the end of the month. So, for example, for June month, month is ending on 30th June. So you need to file the return ECB2 through the authorized dealer bank, having all the details of your transaction you have done during the month within 7 days from 30th June, means by 6th or 7th July. So this is important to keep in mind, and this is the monthly requirement. And if your loan tenure is 12 years, so you need to file ECB monthly return for 12 years. And another is repayment of interest and loan. And as and when your repayment or your interest or your loan penalties to be paid, if any there is, so you can make the payment accordingly, according to the agreement. And if there is any change in the agreement, you need to immediately inform to the RBI by filing form 83 to the through the authorized dealer to the RBI. So this is the practical process of external commercial borrowing, which is very important. And what is more important is more important in this particular process is dates. Dates, especially when you are actually entering into the agreement. From the date of entering into the agreement till the date of your filing of form 83, it is really important to design whole the process, to design your internal processes in such a way so that there is no extra you know work, no extra paperwork. And why I am telling this to you, because almost I mean, I got this as my first assignment in my first company. And what I made mistake, I was not aware about this particular concept of within 7 days. Actually, I was aware about this concept, but I was not very much sure how to deal with it. So I ended up creating almost three copies of the agreement, and I filed almost three form 83 in the beginning of this particular compliance itself. Although now it's been 10 years for that thing, and I was naive, I was new to the concept, and it was my first job. So I made this mistake, but I don't want you to make such kind of mistake and waste your time, waste your management's time, waste the paperwork. So it's always important to pre-plan this whole process and execute it smoothly. Yeah, so that's it from my side. I would be happy to take the questions as and when you have the questions. So these are my credentials. These are my contact details. My name is Shilpi Kulshreshtha. I'm a company secretary and lawyer having 10 years of experience, and I'm a visiting faculty to ICSI as well on this particular topic only, FEMA. And yeah, I would be happy to be in touch with you on phone, email ID, whatever is convenient for you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take care and stay safe, stay home, and be vaccinated. Thank you.